Hello and welcome to the League of Josh podcast. I'm your host, Joshua. Today's episode was recorded on June 21st, 2021. I speak today with Doug Groenendijk. Doug is a dairy cow farmer and a yes man. I've known Doug for 6 years and he still shocks me with some of his stories. Doug and I talk a lot about life on his dairy farm, the psychology of animals, and AI, a deep hole that Doug is eager to plunge elbow deep into. Catching up with old friends is one of my favorite parts of doing this podcast. So Doug and I have a ton of laughs and set up some foreshadowing for a future adventure. Hopefully the next time you see us together, we're side by side on a farm with a cow in between us. Enjoy. Hello everyone. Today I'm speaking with Doug Groenendijk. Doug is a TRU and VIU alumni, graduating with a degree in business administration, majoring in finance. From there, he moved to Austria to play professional volleyball in the first division. He now lives on an island working on a farm. Doug, thanks a lot for coming back on, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, Josh.
The last time it was an absolute ball, so I had to squeeze out some new Doug content.
Yeah, let's see what I got.
Yeah. Man, what was it like moving to Europe? What was the decision to move to Europe, number one? Why did you decide to move to Europe? And then once you got there, what was that like?
Well, the thing was, like, my parents have always been really supportive of me trying new and different things. So they were like, if you don't do it now, you'll never be able to play professional volleyball ever again. So I was like, okay, that's a good point. So I think it was late in the summer, like July, around the beginning of July, when I put a video mixtape together, started contacting agents and everything. And I was like, yeah, I want to play volleyball in Europe and everything. And, I got some feedback here and there, asking old friends and stuff about their experiences and whatnot. And I got really lucky. I got signed up with an agent, and he found me a couple contracts. Initially, I was like, not enough money, not the contract for me. And then he came up with this one, and it was for Austria. And I was like, oh, Austria, sounds good. Good contract, good everything. So I was like, sign the papers, let's go. I didn't really look into exactly where in Austria I was going to be. Like, I didn't ask any questions. I just saw the contract. I was like, oh yeah, let's do this.
Austria was the headline. You're like, sign it with blood.
Yeah, yeah. So I basically I fly out there, right? And I land in the airport, and the manager picks me up from the team. And basically on the drive out to the city I was going to be playing in, I was asking all the questions like, are we up in the Alps? Where are we? Where are we going? Kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he describes the city. It's the second largest city in Austria, in Graz. It's a university city. So my eyes just lit up when I found out there's going to be a lot of young people. I think there's like 100,000 students, like university students, in this 300,000 person town or whatever it is.
Wow.
So like, it was unbelievable. And then I was like, so where am I going to be living? I didn't even know. They just said they're going to have a place for me. So turns out I'm going to be living in like this dormitory. It's basically like first year university building, but it's not with any universities. It's like a organization. Mm-hmm. So I had my own room there, and all us foreigners from my team were living there. And it was unbelievable. Got to meet so many people from all over the place. And yeah, just had a good time in Europe.
So party house at Doug's place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you always been a yes man? Has that always been a thing for you? You just like eating 7.5-pound sandwiches, biking across Canada, drinking gallons of milk daily for weeks on end until you finish the gallon challenge. Where does that come from, man?
I honestly, like, I don't know what like makes me want to do all those crazy different things, but I don't know. It's too, like, you gotta like push your boundaries, and like, like, oh, sorry. What was the question again? Why am I always a yes man? Yeah.
Yeah. Where does that come from?
Well, I don't know. Like, I've always accepted challenges, and I always wanted to, push my limits. And
Mhm.
You know, I've gotten better at saying no to people. I've smartened up a
Yeah.
lot. So I'm not, I wouldn't say a complete yes man, but like, even like when I signed my contract to go play pro in Europe,
Mhm.
my agent was like, yeah, my experience, like my first year or two, I just didn't do anything except stay in my room and do nothing. So he said the biggest advice would be, you know, if someone invites you to go do something or, you know, hang out with them, just say yeah and go do it. So like almost anytime someone was like, hey, you want to go to my hometown and wherever in the Alps, I was like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
And it was so much fun. Like you get to see so many different things, different parts of the culture there, and it was just unbelievable.
I'm gonna sneeze in a minute here. Maybe. I think a bug just flew into my nose. What were some cultural things in the Alps that you
Alps.
that you
Oh yeah,
found as a culture shock?
yeah. So no, like when I got to Austria, turns out I wasn't even in the Alps. I was just south of the Alps, kind of right by Slovenia,
Yeah.
and like it's a 2 hour drive to Croatia. Like it's really close to Croatia there.
Mhm.
So it was kind of like similar. How do I say, to the West Coast? Not as wet, but like it didn't snow a whole ton, so it was
Okay.
pretty
Yeah.
nice there. Really nice farmland too. It was unbelievable. Lots of farms. So when I got there, I was like, I'm gonna find a farming job, but they don't pay so well, and it's hard to, you know, like if you're farming, it's a full-time job, not a part-time job thing. So
Yeah.
I, unless I was picking apples or whatever, like being a harvester, but that was usually for the Eastern European people, and they didn't get paid so well, I don't think.
Yeah. Did you look for a job while you were there besides
Yeah,
farming?
yeah. So a couple times I was hanging out with friends and like, you know, like playing volleyball was awesome. Had a lot of free time, lots of free time.
Mhm.
And like for me, it's hard to sit still. So I was like, oh man, I need to find a job. So I was asking everyone what I should do. Someone was like, oh, you should be a farmer. But I was living in the city, so I'd have to like bike quite a ways to get to a farm or, you know, commute somehow.
Mhm.
So I actually got lucky, and this one guy was saying you should become a native speaker. So I was like, what the heck is a native speaker, right?
Mhm.
And he's like, yeah, you know, you're from Canada. English is your mother tongue. You can be a native speaker. I was like, oh. And then he was like, yeah, basically you just go to classrooms and you just chat with kids in English. And I was like, sign me up. Right. So then I started asking like if he knew anyone. And luckily my manager of the club volleyball, he was a teacher for like 40, 50 years.
Mhm.
And he had a guy that was high up in the education system. So I went and visited him, and he was like, oh yeah, I'll set you up with a job being a native speaker, put my name out there. So I got signed on to do a couple of gigs with a few schools, and I would just go to classrooms, and you know, I'd have flip cards. I'd be like, "What is this?" It'd be like a dog, right? And
Mhm.
I'd just be flipping through. It was a lot of farm animals. That's like my specialty. But I also specialized in Simon Says. That was another go-to like activity in
Yeah.
Doug's classes.
That sounds really similar to what my job was supposed to be, but I ended up the teacher that I had working with me quit
Oh,
4 days after I got there. Like within a week of me getting there,
oh shoot.
she quit, and then I ended up just fully teaching this Danish class.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
How was that?
it was interesting. They were young kids. They were grade, I think 5, 6, and 7 was the range.
Oh,
So some of them were okay at English. A lot of them weren't. I'm
yeah,
sure that a lot of them had no idea what I was saying, but
yeah,
it was good. We figured it out. One second, I gotta
yeah,
lift my dog up. He freaks out.
yeah. No, I had it once or twice where the teacher would leave me alone, and like I was with kids from kindergarten to like grade 4, so
Oh
they're
wow.
like little.
Yeah.
So like, and they hardly can understand English. But like I remember one time there was a kid crying in the corner. I was like, oh my, what do I do here? So then I was like, okay, let's play a game. And then she got up and she was good. So I was like, oh,
You're a magic worker, Doug.
yeah, just play games that they like and, sign me up as a teacher.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that honestly, like if you're ever going to play pro in Europe, like teaching English is the best way to go, I think, like as a part-time gig, like
Yeah.
100%. I wish if I had done it again, I would have like put an ad out there and been like, hey, have a conversation with an English speaker, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just go out for coffee with people who want to practice their English and
Yeah.
just, converse with them.
You
But
thinking of going back, or are you staying on the farm?
yeah, that's the tricky part, Josh. Now, like I've done it. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, that was so much fun. It was a great year. Like, I don't think I could top that experience. You know what I mean? Like, it was
Yeah.
such a good balance of volleyball, fun, travel, and all the fun stuff, right?
Yeah.
So to go back, I don't know. Like, I could be assigned. Like, I met a couple other people that were playing in Austria, and they
Mm-hmm.
had completely different experiences than I did because they were training twice a day. Like they're just going real serious, real hard, and they just got sick of volleyball. Whereas for me, it was like it was a good balance.
Right.
So it's going to be hard for me to want to go back. So I'm thinking of maybe doing like a partial season. Like my agent's still looking
Mm-hmm.
for a good contract, and if it's like a real good contract, maybe. But I'll look at like half season and see if someone's got hurt or if someone's looking for, an international middle, and
Yeah.
I'll maybe I'll head out for 2 or 3 months because it's such a short period, and it's also easier to get away from the farm when it's the winter time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the farm like now? You said a few weeks ago that you guys were kicking it into high gear. So can you
Oh
tell me
yeah.
what a day on the farm looks like before high gear and then after high gear? And what do
Okay.
you farm? What
We're
is the farm?
Yeah, so we're a family farm here in Canada on Vancouver Island, and we farm dairy cows.
Oh.
So we're processing milk basically. Like
Mm-hmm.
we have 170 milking cows.
Whoa.
So there's about 380 cattle or like
Mm-hmm.
dairy cows here. So basically, what happens on non, go 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 time is the beginning of the day. You wake up at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
or 1:30, and you feed the calves, the little ones.
Mm-hmm.
So in the beginning of a dairy cow's life, we kind of separate them so that they don't like get sick, and we can monitor their health and make sure they get all the food they need or all the milk they need. So they're
How old are they when you do that?
um, like soon after they're born, we'll put them in a pen and we'll have them in little hutches,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll be in there till they're about 2.5, 3 months old, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually there's different stages as we progress, as the heifer grows, and then eventually it gets to a time when it calves out and it's ready to be milked and it's part of the milking herd. And then yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, so the normal day, 2:30 or 2, feed the calves, 2:30, bring the cows in to get milked, start milking, milk for about hour and a half, 2 hours, and then after that, clean up the milking parlor and feed the cows. It's kind of hard to explain because there's more than one person doing the job at once.
Right.
So there's two things going on at once, typically, if there's 2 people or 3 people.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, we milk the cows every day. We feed the cows every day. We we try to keep everything as clean as possible and comfortable for the cows,
Mm-hmm.
because a happy, stress-free cow produces a lot of milk.
Yeah.
Or more milk.
A few years
But
ago. Sorry, you go.
but yeah, now we're kicking it in high gear. So we're in harvesting time or cropping time.
Yeah.
And we probably have 100 acres of hay ready to be baled up. So we're going to be doing that tomorrow, basically all week. We're going to have like 10,000 little square bales or so.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and we got more grass to cut and yeah, it's a tough go.
So what do those weeks look like?
Oh, basically you cut the grass, you ted the grass, you ted it like 2 or 3 times. Tedding is when you spread the grass out so it can dry out.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll rake them back into a row, and then we have a baler and it will bale it. And then basically we pick those bales up, throw them in the hay loft, and you stack them up. And yeah, no, it's a very intensive job. Like they're 50, 60 pounds, but after you do a couple thousand in a day, you're pretty tired. Yeah.
There was a few years ago, I was working at a camp in Jaffrey, and one of the families that I stayed with was a farming family, and every morning they would wake up between 2 and 3 in the morning. Sorry. Can you guys stop? Sorry, my dogs are fighting. They would wake up, the whole family would wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning, and they would go and they would move the irrigation system.
Oh, yeah.
So they'd have this huge irrigation system, and they would move it 10 meters. And then the next day they would do the same. They would move it 10 meters, and then they would move it all the way back. And then they would just do that every single day. That was their summer.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was nuts.
Yeah, on our farm, well, I wouldn't say luckily. It's kind of something I would want to get into is having irrigation, but we're a dryland farm, so we rely on the rain and everything else. Like we don't irrigate at all on our farm.
Really?
So, yeah.
Oh, I guess you guys are on the island, so you guys probably get a lot more rain than.
We do get a lot more rain, and like some years you have really good years and it rains perfectly and like sun, and it's just the grass grows like a weed and you cut it. Like last summer was perfect. This summer so far perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have no room to put our feed. Like we have so much feed. So
it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, it's a good problem. It's a real good problem. But some years it's the opposite and there's a drought and you're running low on feed and whatnot. So can't complain.
Yeah. What's the milking process like?
Oh, okay. So when you know what, Josh? I wish you came to the farm sometime and I could show you.
I wish so too. I think I would definitely be keen to do that for a summer or something, to come work on a farm.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
I'd probably deteriorate pretty quick. I like my sleep a lot, but I think it would be a good experience.
Yeah. So basically the cows come in from their barn. When we're chasing the cows into the milking area,
mm-hmm.
we'll clean their beds out and fluff it up so it's nice and comfortable for them. And they'll come in and they're in a big holding area, and then they kind of just come into the milking area.
Mm-hmm.
And they're standing right in front of us. We're kind of in a little pit.
Yeah.
And we'll dip their teats with a skin conditioner.
Mm-hmm.
It also helps clean off if there's any manure or whatever else could be on the teat.
Yeah.
And so we'll dip them all. We can milk 12 on one side, 12 on the other side, so 24 at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And we wear gloves. Yeah. And to help spread or not help like limit the amount of bacteria that will spread.
Right.
And we kind of squirt a few squirts out of each teat just to see, like, check the milk, like if it's a good white normal looking milk color. Mm-hmm. And consistency. And if so, like, great, like clean off the teats, go to the next one, do that a couple times, and then we go back to that cow after a few minutes later, because like when you're milking a cow and you're touching the teats and all that, you're kind of stimulating it, so then it will drop its milk.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you hook on the machine, and the machine's got a vacuum, and I don't know, it's like a pulsating thing, and it just it squirts the milk out of the cow and it goes into the milk line and into the milk tank.
I remember I saw a video of the machine a few years ago and was just blown away by it. It just looked like the most advanced, crazy technology looking thing I've ever seen for cow milking.
Yeah, they got robots now too, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the dream one day, maybe have some robots, but for now we put the machines on by hand. And then after about 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how fast or how much milk the cow has, the the machine will come off automatically because there's a flow meter,
Mhm.
because you don't want to over milk a cow. And the machine comes off, and we got like necklaces for all our cows, all our milking cows.
Mhm.
So we can identify which cow comes into the milking area. So we know that cow is supposed to have 20 liters today,
Mhm.
or like it's been giving 20 liters. So if it's all of a sudden way low, we know something's up with it. Maybe it's in heat, or it's got a flu, or whatever it is. Maybe corona. I don't know.
Cow Rona.
Yeah, corona. No, I'm just kidding. I don't think they've gotten COVID yet.
No, I don't think that it can. I don't think that it can jump to cows. I think
Yeah.
I think cats can catch it. I don't think they can transmit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen in the zoo a couple tigers got it or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Still,
no. So
still
then
looking for that cat.
after the machine comes off, we make sure everything's good on the computer, and then we'll dip it with a post-dip iodine,
Mhm.
and that kind of just like prevents bacteria from going into it. And it's also another skin conditioner.
Yeah.
And then after all the 12 cows are done milking, there's like these gates in front of them, and they'll just open, quick release gates, and the cows will go out and they'll go back into their main barn. And usually at that point, we'll have fresh feed for them. So they'll go right there and eat their food and hang out in the barn till the next milking.
Man, I'd love to see you guys set up. There's
Yeah.
this, maybe you'd call her a sociologist, but her name is Temple Grandin, and
Oh, yeah.
she is. You know who Temple Grandin is?
Yeah. I've heard about it before.
She's she's autistic, and she thinks very similar to the ways animals think. So because of that, she's been able to produce a lot of revolutionary technology for barns and different types of like slaughterhouses and milking houses and all of those other things. Do you think that there are any technologies that you have that you've integrated that are from Temple Grandin? I think one of the things that she came up with was the squeezing. There's some kind of squeezing mechanism that makes a cow feel more comfortable.
Oh, yeah. I think that's when they're in a chute.
Mhm.
Like on our farm, we have a chute, but we don't. That's more for like the slaughterhouses and whatnot, because they get weighed and everything. I'm not too positive on all that, but like I remember, I think another philosophy from hers is like you don't want, like, you kind of want it to be kind of windy and bendy,
Yeah.
not like 90-degree corners and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So we definitely have that. And we also have like, you don't want a crowded barn, because if there's a crowded barn, that's no good either, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely want to like read up more on her stuff and like how to, even like I was working in Manitoba this
Mm-hmm.
last fall, and I was working on a feedlot farm.
Yeah.
So that's beef farm, not dairy farming. And I would help move the cows from one pen to another pen. And the guys would always laugh at me because I'm a dairy farmer and I move cows like a dairy farmer. And
What does that mean?
I don't know. I don't really know. I think dairy cows are a little bit different than beef cows. They're more domesticated, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I would assume, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the beef guys that I was working with, they really understood like, if you step here, the cow's not going to want to go there, or it's going to go that way instead of this way. Right. So they taught me a lot about how to move cattle properly and how to, like, you know, keep it as stress-free as possible, which is really, really good.
Very cool. Cow psychology. What a thing.
Oh, I know. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, Temple Grandin's a character. It's such a cool story.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah.
How do you determine if a cow is sick, and what do you do about that?
Yeah. So like I said earlier, we have necklaces on all our cows, mm-hmm. but it's also got a Fitbit type thing attached to it. Yeah.
Get your steps in.
Yeah. You basically can track how active a cow is or how inactive a cow is. Mm-hmm. And there's like two main reasons we have this Fitbit. First reason is if it's low in activity, it's usually a good sign that the cow's not feeling well or something's up with the cow. So then we can put them into a separate pen sort them into another pen.
Mhm.
And then we can either check its temperature or feel its ears. That's another good one. If their ears are cold, that's usually a sign that they're sick.
Mhm.
And also looking at their temperature, they could either have a fever or whatever could be wrong.
Yeah.
And then there, we can go from there. Or maybe they have a sore foot. So then we're like, oh, we got to trim the foot so that, it's more comfortable for the cow.
Mhm.
The second reason is, say a cow's activity is really high. That's a good sign that she's probably in heat and ready to be bred.
Right.
So then that means it's perfect time to inseminate her with some bull semen, and and then we're good to go.
Do you guys keep bulls on your farm?
No, it's really dangerous having bulls on our farm. Oh, like on a farm, like to
Why is that?
handle them. Well, they're very aggressive,
Mhm.
and like a lot, like back in the day, they also like there's a lots of incidents where people would get hurt by like cleaning out the bullpen, and the bull just goes nuts and rams them into the gates.
Mhm.
But another good reason, or a reason why we don't, is we do AI, so it all comes from artificial insemination. So that's from like a company, and they have
Mhm.
all the best bulls in the world.
Yeah.
So we're breeding our cows with the best bulls so that the genetics just get better and better on our farm.
That's the first time I've heard that acronym be used for artificial insemination. I'm going to take that for later. I'm going to put that in my back pocket. That's awesome.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. AI, baby.
yeah. Anytime I hear Elon talk about it now, I'll have a better
You'll have
picture
a
in my
better
mind.
understanding now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what he's talking about. That's what he really wants.
Yeah, it's going to take over the world.
Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah. But yeah, no. So those are some reasons why we don't have bulls. It's just dangerous, and we can get the best bulls and not have them on our farm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier about cows getting stressed out. Does that happen very often, and does that lead to lower amounts of milk? I know that that's a thing with hens, with chicken hens. There was a kind of the hypothesis was that if you put all of the best hens together, then you'll just have all of these hens laying tons of eggs all the time, because there seemed to be a very small proportion of hens in the cages that were laying the vast majority of the eggs. And so they tried to do an ecological experiment where they took all of the hens that were laying the most eggs and put them all together, and they found that the exact same it was the same pattern. So there was always a hen that was laying a ton of eggs disproportionate to the rest of them, and they found out that was because they were picking on each other.
Oh,
So
yeah.
the top hen would stress out all of the other hens, and then the other hens wouldn't lay as many eggs. So there was always a top hen that was laying the majority of the eggs. So does that happen with cows, or how do cows get stressed out, and how does that impact their milk output?
Well, yeah, there's actually like a pecking order also in a herd or
Mm-hmm.
a dairy herd. So there's going to be the mean old big cow that can just shove her way, push the lower down cows
Yeah.
and get at the food, or get at the water, or just be a bully. Sometimes they can be bullies.
Yeah.
And they kind of get what they want, right? So then that one that's getting bullied, or the lowest one, is just getting bullied by all the cows.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why you try arrange your barns and have different herds to accommodate for that. So like a 2-year-old cow is usually a smaller cow than a 5-year-old cow, and the 5-year-old cow would easily beat up a 2-year-old. So then you have a 2-year-old group, and then you have the other ones in the other group.
Mm.
So that's one way to limit the bullying and whatnot. Another way that you can stress out a cow is just external noise. So even just driving a tractor through the barn, or something that disrupts their daily routine of just eating food, laying down, drinking water. Like, so if we're working on the roof of the barn and we're hammering away, that noise just freaks them out. And like, I don't quite understand the biology of it, but I think they release like the stress hormone, which takes away from their milk production,
Mhm.
which, yeah, basically results in less milk.
That
Yeah.
makes tons of sense.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So if you kind of disrupt their day and, we're not don't let them do their thing, then it could affect, milk production and increase stress.
So
So
I'm sure they do a lot better on a schedule then. You just have them on a day in, day out schedule.
yeah. So we milk them at 2:30 in the morning, 2:30 in the afternoon.
Mhm.
So they kind of get used to that. You know, us humans, we aren't always perfect, but we try to get as close to that as possible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Have you been able to see any patterns just by observing? I think that would just be the coolest thing in the world, to just watch any type of animal, but especially when you have them in a controlled environment like that, just see what they do, see how they react to things. Kind of, I feel like I would develop a really cute relationship with one that gets bullied, and I would slowly train it to stand up for itself. There would be a
Yeah.
huge training montage and everything.
Yeah, no, I that's the problem, is quite often like you just let them do their thing. Like, I don't know if you could really train a cow to be more aggressive towards the other cows. But like
You're killing my dreams.
yeah, there's lots, like I've been reading a lot of studies where they do have like cameras set up in their barns. So like even just having a person in the barn like kind of disrupts them, and they're looking at you, and
Hmm.
quite often they think you're going to feed them grain or something or a treat, so they'll come towards you, right? So the best way would be actually having video cameras, like looking at and monitoring your cows. But yeah, I save that for the dairy research barns to do all that kind of stuff to, optimize our stuff.
Yeah, it's so interesting how much behavior humans miss out on just by being around. There's a bat in the Amazon that, if it's being watched by a human, it won't build its nest. It has this very intricate method of setting up its nest with different types of leaves,
Yeah.
and people had no idea how it was done until someone set up a camera, and that's the only way we've ever seen it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's very,
Crazy.
very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's neat.
What do you do outside of the barn? What do you do in on the island? What's your island life?
What's my island life? Yeah, honestly, it's been a lot of just farming,
Hmm.
which is great, which
Yeah.
is great. But besides that, I just hang out with friends. I did a canoe trip a couple of weeks ago or a month ago or whatever it was.
Where'd you go?
Sayward Lake canoe route. It's like close to Campbell River,
Hmm.
and I think it's 11 lakes. So there's a couple portages that we had to do. It was my first one, so it was kind of fun.
Can you explain what a portage is?
Portage, basically carrying your canoe and your gear over land to get to the next lake. It's kind of like you go to the end of the lake, and then there's like you can't canoe to the next lake, so
There's no more lake.
yeah, you got to pick up your canoe and go.
Yeah.
So then you go to the next one, and then you just keep doing that. So that was quite a fun experience for me. I quite enjoyed it. Like I'm used to doing like overnight hikes,
Hmm.
and you're hiking and you're walking through the trails. But for me, I found like when you're canoeing, you're just like the scenery just kind of goes by you more.
Hmm.
Whereas when you're hiking, you're the one going through the scenery.
Yeah.
In my eyes, like
Hmm.
it was just a different perspective than what I was used to. So that was pretty cool. Other than that, I go quite a bit dirt biking, playing spike ball, beach volleyball. Trying to stay active.
Yeah. What's it like trying to stay active in the midst of a pandemic? Are you guys are starting to open up now?
Yeah, we're starting to open up a bit more, but yeah, honestly, it kind of sucks like not being able to play indoor volleyball. Like
Hmm.
I just miss going to like the gym to play sports. Um, so, and then it was also frowned upon to get together with people and play like outdoor volleyball or whatever for a while, but now it's getting better.
Yeah.
So Nice. I also we got an old barn here, and I converted a room into a home gym. So been working out a bunch there too. So that's been real nice.
How many barns do you guys have?
We got the main cow barn, and then we got the milking barn, and that's on one side of the road, and then on the other side is where we used to have our whole operation, the
Mhm.
old barns, and we got a hay barn here now, and the old dairy is now converted into a garage and storage kind of thing. So
Do you
kind of
guys
like
let your sorry, you
four.
go.
We got like four barns.
Cool. Do you guys let your cows free range ever?
Yeah, actually, we have, I don't know, close to 40 or 50 or 60 cows out on pasture right now.
Sweet.
So we have like a cow will lactate for about 305 days, and
Mhm.
then we'll dry it off. And then
What does
that's
that
kind of
mean?
the recovery rest period for that cow.
Mhm.
And if it lines up with the summer months, it will get a vacation on our pasture land, which is out in the woods, and it just hangs out there for the summer. We feed it grain and whatnot, and we kind of check up on them, but for the most part, they're just hanging out in the on pasture. It's pretty cool for them.
Sweet. What's
Yeah.
their what's their mating schedule like? When do they go into heat?
When do they go into heat?
Yeah, if they're lactating for 200 or 305 days of the year, what's the
Yeah. So basically, you raise a cow, or I mean a heifer, all the
Mhm.
way up to about a year-ish, and that's when it'll be ready to be bred.
Mhm.
And then they have what's the a menstrual cycle of whatever it is, 28 days. I'm can't
They,
remember what the
they
number is.
ovulate?
Pardon me?
They ovulate for that long?
No, I don't know. There's a period where you can, read them.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Josh, I'm no biologist here, man.
I'm sorry. I'm really curious about cow breeding, apparently.
Yeah, shit. I was actually like another thing that the pandemic screwed up was I was gonna do an artificial insemination course where I was gonna learn all this stuff, and that's
AI.
yeah, AI baby. That's where you but like the pandemic shut that down, so I actually haven't taken the course, so I'm not in charge of breeding on our farm, so I don't really know all that much, but yeah.
Man, I'm gonna tell all our friends that you're doing AI. Doug's doing AI now. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Doug's getting into AI. It's
there's an
nuts.
AI. Yeah, yeah, no, so a different kind of AI, but
Yeah, the
still
other kind of AI.
good.
What's next for you, man? What are you doing after the pandemic hopefully eases up a little bit?
Mm. Well, I'm really curious, or like I really want to go over to Australia and work on a dairy farm out there. And
Mhm.
if there's volleyball, play a bit of volleyball. Ideally, I would do it during our winter and their summer.
Yeah,
Get 2 summers in a year. Actually,
totally.
3 summers in a row would be awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd be kind of cool to go down to Australia, learn how they dairy down there, and also, yeah, just get away, travel again. I can't wait to travel again.
Do you guys have an intricate web of dairy farmers? I feel like this is some kind of cult that I've missed out on.
Like in Canada or in like the world?
The world, I feel like there's an underground cult where everyone wears like uh dairy cow spotted robes. They speak Latin.
Like, no, so I like I don't know, like dairy farming is not a fun job for most people, I don't think, unless you're raised into it. Like I really enjoy it because I love being around cows, and I understand. I've been doing it my whole life, right? So like
Yeah.
I have a lot of experience. So if I like this winter, a farmer called me up and says, "Hey, you want to help me on my farm?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, like I'll ask my dad, see if I can actually have the time off to help you on that farm, right?" And
Mhm.
my dad's like, "Oh, it'll be a good learning experience." So I went over there and did that. But like, you got to deal with cow poop. A lot of people aren't good with that, and the smells and dealing with animals. So it takes a lot of experience. So usually dairy farmers will want people with experience. So like that's how I think I should be able to get a job down in Australia is I've got, my whole life here on this farm. So,
By
you know,
sheer triumph of the will and the fact that nobody else wants to do it.
yeah, exactly. No one else wants to do it. It's usually long days, tough, dirty days, but it's a fun lifestyle.
Have you ever had any dirty mishaps?
Yeah, the other day we were pumping a pit of manure out. And yeah, we are pumping it out and pumping it into another pit, and I had my foot on this hose holding it to go into the other one. But I was taking a Snapchat video of this procedure, and then all of a sudden, like, I just get splattered with cow manure because the hose kind of kicked back a bit and went over the curb, and I was just getting splattered, and shit was everywhere, and it was just a mess. So there's definitely some shitty days, but yeah, it's not that bad though. Like that's the good thing of like, I guess I'm used to it, so I'll just wash off.
Yeah, get back out there.
Yeah,
Jump back in the ship.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was it like growing up on a cattle farm? Were you the only school child that did that? Did everyone else have banker parents and accountants and lawyers, and then you were out in the back wrangling heifers?
Yeah, I was running around playing with cows.
Yeah.
No. So like where I live, it's kind of like a farming zone. So there was it was mainly people like in older grades, like that also farmed. I think there was one girl that also had a dairy farm in my class. Yeah. But a lot of people, yeah, just loved coming to the farm for like play dates and whatnot, just to see the cows. And, it's, you got like 300 acres here to go play around on dirt bikes and go biking and, go adventuring. So it was a perfect way to grow up. I highly recommend growing up on a farm. Yeah.
That would be pretty sweet. I hope that I'll get the opportunity to come out there one time.
Oh, dude, I want you to come out. That would be so sweet.
I think I would definitely enjoy that.
Maybe we can have a blog of you doing some AI.
Yeah, absolutely.
Doing some AI.
Doug, you and I are going to study AI together. It's going to be great. We're going to make a TikTok series. It's going to be the bomb.
Yes. Perfect.
All right. Thanks a lot for coming on, Doug. I think this episode might be my epitome of pun episode. I think we've hit the most puns I've ever had. Probably the most I've laughed in a while too. I haven't talked to humans in a long time.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Thanks for having me, Josh.
Yeah, man. It's always a pleasure. It's good to see you.
All right. Take care, man.
Bye, buddy. Okay, sorry. What's it like to burr the cow, to burr the little heifer?
All right. Yeah. Okay. So basically, we'll see.
Wait. Okay, first, what's AI? How do you actually AI a cow?
Oh boy, Josh, you're getting me. Like, okay, let's skip the AI part because like I really don't know how to explain it. How do I say properly?
Okay.
And I actually, okay. Basically, okay. Never mind. I'll get to that the next episode.
Okay, yeah. I'll come out to your farm. We'll do an episode after you've done your AI course, and then we'll have video instructions to go along with it.
Yeah, we'll have Josh do it. Just don't. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, are we okay now? Okay. Are we doing the calving?
Yeah. How do you burr the cow?
Okay. So basically, you'll see a cow is about to calve. You put it into a separate pen, right? And quite often, we know the cow's about to calve. So we'll just kind of let it do its thing. But say it's having issues or, it seems to be struggling, then I'll come along and I'll help it out. So the cow's like hoofs are coming out.
Mm.
So then I basically get this thing wrapped around its like ankle or yeah, whatever. And I kind of work with the cow and I'm pulling on it as she's pushing. And we kind of just work together to like get it out. And all of a sudden it will just flop out. And once it's on the ground, I kind of reach in its mouth and I pull out the slime because it could like choke on its like the fluids and whatnot from being born. And yeah, that's basically the process of birthing a cow.
That sounds very holistic. You
Yeah,
sounds like Doug the midwife and
yeah,
cattle birthing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And it happens like I don't know on our farm almost every other day. So it happens quite a bit that we're pulling calves off.
Wow, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the other thing in Australia. Like they farm a little differently. They have all their cows calve at once.
Mm-hmm.
So say you have a milking herd of about 150, you're going to be pulling 150 calves off in about 3-week period, 4-week period. Like that's a lot of calves, just yanking them out constantly. But they do it because they farm a little bit differently and they have their cows out on pasture.
Mm-hmm.
So when the grass is growing at the highest rate, that's when they want their cows to be at the highest production.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. That's a big reason for me wanting to go to Australia so I can learn how
Yeah,
they do.
just a totally different method, hey?
Yeah, completely different. But I think slowly they're gonna come or shift their philosophies and come to like the North American way or the European way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is there a difference between European, North American, and Australian cattle farming? I'm sure there are.
Oh
Actually,
yeah.
I was in Vietnam. I was in the north of Vietnam, and my mom and I went on this hike, and it's super commercial. And then you keep going, and we found these huge pot farms, super illegal in Vietnam.
Yeah.
And we found these huge pot farms. We were walking, and I'm like, "Do you smell that?" She's like, "Yeah." Like, weird.
Yeah.
And right in the middle of these cornfields are just these massive pot plants, these
Oh,
huge, like massive volumes of plants.
yeah.
And so we're like, hopefully we don't get murdered by some cartel up here.
Yeah.
And we kept going. And at the top of this mountain, there was this huge herd of oxen.
Oh yeah.
And they were all just taking this big mud bath. And then these 7 to 10-year-old kids, 2 of them came out and they started herding these oxen. And it was just the coolest thing in the world to see.
Yeah. Yeah, that's sweet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's cool seeing how they do things all differently all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. You got travel plans? Oh, I guess you want to go back to Europe.
Yeah. I would love to go and travel South America,
Oh yeah.
but I think it's a little bit dangerous right now.
Why is that? COVID?
No, just their political climate.
Oh.
Yeah, there's lots of gang violence and the like. Okay, I'll pause this again now.